Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to Drawing Down the Stars. I'm Snappy, and thank you for joining me for our live tarot session today, December 18th, 2024. It's a beautiful day. It's a wonderful evening. Let's say hi to everyone here in our chat. Great to see you, Genevieve. Good to see you, Val. Much love, Kari. Marissa, much love. Gomi Kozu, much love. Holler Haint, much love. Christy, much love. All right. Great to see you. Gandhi, much love. D Love, much love. Holler Haint. Oh, Isaac, much love. Sonia, much love. Atma, much love. All right. Thank you guys so much. It's great to see you all so bright and early. All right. Let's take a moment and talk about our astrology. We are leaving that full moon energy. We're now in the disseminating moon, and we're still in that energy of the moon in Leo. The moon in Leo is such intense energy. It's fun, it's jubilant, it's creative. As long as we can be creative, as long as we can be engaged with people who are of a similar flair, in that similar jovial energy, it can be incredibly loving and helpful and fun. But if we get too worked up, that energy can take a turn. If we're challenged in the wrong way, it can be very prideful, it can be arrogant, it can be energy that can cause a lot of problems. So we have to be very, very, very careful and cautious of this Leo energy, lest it become a huge issue and it take over, right? But with this Sun in Sagittarius energy, which is that willful actor, that energy that sets its sights and moves and flow, that can pursue its desire with that focus and that will to transform, this Leo energy can give it even greater courage, greater strength of self, and allow it to connect truly with that fiery energy of passion, right? That we need in order to jump and to pursue what we truly desire. So take advantage of the beautiful energy today. It's intense and be aware of it. But if you can put it into that flow with friends and family, it can be so rewarding, it can be so fun, and it can truly bring you some incredible reward. All right. We're now going to go to our Ganapati Oracle. So, Ganesha Ganapati is the divine child, the guardian of the threshold, the Lord of beginnings, and the master of spirits, the Ganas. And we ask them to inspire us and to send us a message through the cards. So, Ganapati Ganesha, what is the inspiring message? Let's see. One we see often, but also one that's just so beautiful and true. Relaxation, taking that time to sit with the self, right? Taking that time to be in comfort, to be in the silence, to be in the body, to be tending to the body, and recognizing the need for relaxation. Often in our work driven world, we don't truly honor relaxation. In fact, the only time we are allowed to relax is when we are consuming, watching TV, listening to other media, on our phone, through the internet, but real relaxation is simply sitting and being with the self in the silence and comfort of the body, you know, that time before sleep, right? That time before waking, those moments that we can take in meditation when we can just appreciate being alive and listening to that flow of self. So when we see this energy, it is about recognizing the need for relaxation and taking that time to sit in the silence and listen to the body. All right. Beautiful. Love to see it. Love to see it. We are now going to do our sortes. The sortes is a form of bibliomancy, that is divination through literature, and it comes to us from the Greco-Roman tradition. And we invoke the goddesses of inspiration, the divine muses, And we ask them to send us an inspiring message through the text. Today, we're going to begin with Lotrama, Maldoror, and poems. So, muses, what is the inspiring message from Lotrama? All right. In this respect, his talent bordered on genius. Have you not observed the slenderness of the charming cricket moving with agile grace in the drains of Paris? It was Maldoror. Wow. In this respect, his talent bordered on genius. I think this is a really interesting line. It reminds us that we all have those things that we are especially incredible at, you know, that matter to us, that we have some kind of innate talent in, but also we recognize that that's a talent born from fixation, almost always, you know. But we all have that thing in which we are the genius. We have that strong ability that we feel comfortable in. Interesting. Interesting. All right, let's continue. We're now going to go to Magia, Alan Chapman. Muses, what is the message from Alan Chapman? Inspire us this evening. And therefore, a greater display of the appearance would seem to promise a greater degree of awakening, yes? And so, a bigger display, more adulation, more praise, a more powerful sharing of meditation techniques, more of the glimpses, more of the pleasant states, always more of the same appearance, as if this is more of awakening. When in reality, it is the absence of awakening. You are pursuing all of these avenues, but you are not awake, are you? Wow. You are pursuing all these avenues, but you are not awake. What is the issue? Is the issue the pursuit itself? It is that fixation on desire? Interesting. Let's continue. We are now going to go to Byron. Selected poetry and letters. Muses, what is the message from Lord Byron? Inspire us this evening. Sooner will I with Cerberus exchange my office, and his is no sinecure, than see this royal bedlam bigot range the azure fields of heaven, of that be sure. Saint, replied Satan, you do well to avenge the wrongs he made your satellites endure. And if to this exchange you should be given, I'll try to coax our Cerberus up to heaven. Oh, interesting. Wow. Cerberus is that guardian of the threshold, right? They're similar energy to Ganapati in some ways. You know, they protect the underworld, and they hold within their mouth, the foam of their mouth, the antidote, right? There's a lot of wildness with Cerberus. Carl Ruck actually tells us that Cerberus is an incarnation of Hecate and that they're intrinsically related. Really powerful energy, right? Sooner will I with Cerberus exchange my office, and his is no sinecure, than see this royal bedlam bigot range the azure fields of heaven, of that be sure. This person is so frustrated that he would be willing to sacrifice his own spot in heaven and be bound and become that threshold guardian like Cerberus, right? He would rather do that, be bound as a slave, than allow someone else into heaven. Isn't that a wild thing? And what does the devil reply? Saint, replied Satan, you do well to avenge the wrongs he made your satellites endure. And if to this exchange you should be given, I'll try to coax our Cerberus up to heaven. So the devil would do it, but he doesn't think Cerberus would take the exchange, would want to go to heaven. Is that not fun? Wow. Interesting. Let us continue. We're now going to go to Women Who Run with Wolves, Myths and Stories of the Wild Woman Archetype. Clarissa Pincola Estes. Muses, what is the message from Christina Pincola Estes? Inspire us this evening. But there is another aspect to mastery, and that is dealing with what can only be called woman's rage. The release of that rage is required. Once women remember the origins of their rage, they feel they may never stop grinding their teeth. Ironically, we also feel very anxious to disperse our rage, for it feels distressing and noxious. We wish to hurry up and do away with it. But repressing it will not work. It is like trying to put fire into a burlap bag. Neither is it good to scald ourselves or someone else with it. So there we are holding a powerful emotion that we feel came upon us unbidden. It is little like toxic waste. There it is. No one wants it. But there are few there are few disposal areas for it. One has to travel far in order to find a burial ground. Wow. One has to travel far to find the burial ground. Interesting, right? We have to find a way to dislodge that rage and to put it to rest, to engage with it in a way that is healthy and reflective. You know, we cannot allow that rage to be repressed because it doesn't go anywhere. That's when those things transform and become cruelty to the self and to others. And they often take on the guise of righteousness, right? They often take on the guise of righteousness. So we have to remind ourselves to put that rage into the earth, to bury it into the ground, to release it into something constructive, to put it in to nature, into the process of creation, right? Into that process of the hunt, into that process of gardening to produce something, to grow, to gain, to transform. Wow, interesting. Let's continue. We're now going to go to The Turn of the Screw, Henry James. Muses, what is the message from Henry James? Inspire us this evening. Not a sound on the way had passed between us, and I had wondered, oh, how I had wondered, if he were groping about in his little mind for something plausible and not too grotesque. Wow. Isn't that what we all kind of dream? Something plausible and not too grotesque? Not a sound on the way had passed between us, and I had wondered, right? That perception of the other, that lust in that eros of distance, in that wonderment, right? When you don't know what the other person is thinking, when you lack that communication, and there is that separation. I had wondered if he were groping about in his little mind for something plausible and not too grotesque. You know, are you grounded in reality and do you want something not ugly? Oh, wow. Interesting. Let's continue. Don Juan in Hell by Bernard Shaw. Muses, what is the message from Shaw? Inspire us. I have come to a momentous decision, my boy. But first, where is our friend the devil? I must consult him in the matter. Oh, wow. A momentous decision. Come to a momentous decision, but we must consult the devil, right? What I'm getting, the thing here is that there's a great change that's going to come. You know, the Sortes is telling us of this incredible moment that is coming and where there will be a new transformation. But first, there must be this judgment. There must be a call to the devil, and there must be a reflection and an ask, right? You, your heart must be weighed on the scales against the feather, you know. But here's the thing: if you've been just, then reward is your just reward, right? You will receive beautiful abundance. Let's see where this is going. The Stranger, Albert Camus. Muses, what is the message from Camus? Inspire us. He told me that he now had to turn to some questions that might seem irrelevant to my case, but in fact have a significant bearing on it. Interesting. You know, those little things that we may take for granted, those small things that we have said and been disregarded, may wind up becoming hugely important in a case when we're facing judgment, when we're seeking that understanding. You know, when we are seeing the muses, when we are looking for the truth, it is often buried, it is hidden between the words. When we speak of something like the Vox, hearing and learning to read those images, it is going to the depths of the metaphor, going to the depths of that poetic image, becoming that aesthete and truly appreciating that art, that literature to its highest extent, and weighing all of its possible meanings and taking them into such consideration that you can come to some core understanding and connect it to other core understandings that you hold, right? That refinement and engagement. Wow. Interesting. But it comes from this ability to look at what we may not think about. So many times, you know, it's so wild is that a big part of this year for me has been through this process of doing the sortes and whatnot, is going back to things that I have read many years ago, things that were dear to me in a past self that I had seen through a specific lens, and then reconnecting with them and seeing it in an entirely new light and gaining so much greater meaning, and then wondering, how could I not have seen this the first time through? And that's the power of a truly magical story, truly great myth, right? You can extend that metaphor. It's alive and it can communicate new meaning through the course of one's life because you and it are different in each experience of it, right? Let's continue. A Sinister Assassin by Antonin Artaud. Muses, what is the message from Antonin Artaud? Inspire us this evening. I was swimming in a river of pus which never existed, but which was conjured up right there and thrown at me to prevent me from passing through, and the obscene body of that humanity wanted to close down its stitching around me when my own body had already been made and had no need of anything nor of anybody except just a little span of time to exist. Wow, what beauty! So intense. I was swimming in a river of pus, which never existed, but which was conjured up right there and thrown at me to prevent me from passing through, and the body, to prevent me from passing through the body, from realizing that my true body is beyond the physical, right? The obscene body, as Artaud calls it. of that humanity, the obscene body of that humanity. It wanted to close down its stitching around me. When my own body had already been made and had no need of anything, nor of anybody, except just a little span of time to exist. A little span of time, right? We are those snakes that pass through time. Wow, this is interesting. It makes me think of, in many ways, Jain philosophy. In Jain philosophy, they talk about a form of karma called karma pugala, which is a type of matter. And when you are engaged in certain acts, these they attract this kind of dust that weighs your body down, that binds you into the earth, that makes you a lesser and a lesser being, that prevents you from rising and becoming that transcendent self, realizing one's own unlimited deified nature. It's really wild. Let's continue. All right. Goethe, Faust. Muses, what is the message from Goethe? Inspire us this evening. Ah, now you're put about and claim the moral right to cry for shame, because chaste ears must never hear the name of things chaste ears will never go without. Oh, wow. Truer words, truer words, truer words. Ah, now you're put about and claim the moral right to cry for shame, because chaste ears must never hear the name of things chaste hearts will never go without. And rather poignant, yeah, rather poignant, because there's so much judgment that occurs. There's so much negativity around things that are said, and people jump to the most insane of conclusions and cry for shame, especially when examining something like history. History is ugly. History is ugly. And people don't want to admit or look at that ugliness. Wow, interesting. Let's continue. 10 plays by Euripides. Muses, what is the message from Euripides? Inspire us. Is any profane man in the street? Is any within? Let him withdraw. Hushed be every lip to holy silence. Ever shall I hymn to Dionysus in the old way of old ways. Whoa. Intense. Is any profane man in the street? Is any within? Let him withdraw. Let him withdraw. Hushed be every lip to holy service. Ever shall I hymn Dionysus in the old way. Old way. This is calling one to be true, right? True to that foundational image, that Dionysus in adoration to Venus, right? Calling out in the old way, crying out for love, going out into the nature and engaging in those wild rites. Is any profane man in the street? Is any within? Let him withdraw, right? Disconnect from those that do not share in this engagement, right? Disconnect from that energy. And also regard it in yourself. If you're not of that, if that energy is not for you, you do not need to follow Dionysus into the wilderness. You can walk the Apollonian path. Apollo is just as beautiful, right? Let's continue. Okay, let's go. Lorca, 3 tragedies. Muses, what is the message from Lorca? Inspire us this evening. She's afraid of our mother. Mother is the only one who knows the story and where of Adela's father and where and how he got his lands. Wow. Every time she comes here, Mother twists the knife in the wound. Ooh, what intense energy. She's afraid of her mother. Mother is the only one who knows the story, right? Of how they achieved their wealth, how they achieved their possessions, their land, right? And every time she comes here, Mother twists the knife in the wound. You know, I think what this is talking about, and well, we can interpret this, is that energy of many people have that mother wound. They have mother violence in their own life, you know. And this is such a complicated, intense energy. And it often feels like those who have been wounded by this energy lash out at any who express it, you know. It's human nature, you know. It's ugly, but it's human nature. And we need to recognize that in that knowledge also, right? The mother knew the truth. And those that know the truth, right? Why was there a lashing out? I think this also relates to the previous sortes, in that in the previous sortes we were talking about how there is a refusal to engage with what we don't want to deal with. We don't like something, and therefore we don't want anyone else to ever talk about or engage in it, right? That which we distance ourselves from is not allowed to exist, you know? And now we're seeing this image about this hatred for the mother, for that feminine that knows the truth, that knows the reality, that knows the essence of the story, right? That knows the totality of the story. I immediately think of that memory, mother of muses, Memnosine, that knows all stories, that holds all truth, for she is the unfolding of the story itself, right? And what we're seeing here is that there are many people who will lash out when faced with harsh reality, with an opposing story, with a narrative that challenges their own, right? We all live in some form of framework, in some form of delusion, right? The question is, can you adapt and expand your vision of reality? Can you ever pursue that truth with humility and the willingness to re-engage that reason, that faculty, and adapt and grow when faced with new information? Many people would rather not. They would rather remain ignorant. They would rather refuse to change and stay in their own little world, right? Many people manufacture their own little worlds for themselves, in which they can cut themselves off from the rest of the world and hide. And then when they return to that greater community, they no longer recognize anything and they lash out in anger. All that is real is change. And even those who resist change, the world is just going, no matter what, no matter what. You know, you may find a way in which you can maintain aspects. You may find a way in which you can ignore things, but the change continues regardless. All right, let's continue. What do I want to do here? Oh, yes. We're going to go for our final sorties to The White Goddess by Robert Graves. All right. Muses, inspire me this evening. What is the message from Robert Graves? Oh, whoa, ooh. This book is in rough shape, my friends. All right. Their cult involved the use of an artificial 13-month solar calendar, each month represented by a different tree, which had been invented independently of the alphabet and was in widespread use. Some of its seasonal elements can be shown to date from pre-dynastic times, and though the trees in the Irish version, the only one that survives complete, suggests a Pontine or Paphlagonian origin. The calendar may have originated in the Aegean or in Phoenicia or in Libya. Oh, wow. And what he's talking about here is talking about the Irish traditions, the Irish religious, the indigenous religious traditions of Ireland, right? And what we're seeing is that they adapted this 13-month calendar, but it most likely this calendar did not originate, but was rather one that was brought into the local peoples. And it rather probably originated somewhere in the Mediterranean. And we see three incredible possibilities. Libya, I think of the Cumaean Sibyl, I think of Medea, right? Aegean, I think of ancient Greece, I think of Helen, right? And then, oh, what was the last one they said? Phoenicia, right? We think of the purple, the pirates, and I think of the Tin Isles. We know that the Phoenicians went already to the Tin Isles, which were somewhere near the British Isles, right? Beautiful and interesting stuff. So I think the message from the muses in this regard is about recognizing this incredible connection across the Mediterranean between all of these traditions, about in taking inspiration in that regard. Beautiful. All right, we're now going to go to our sortes. But before I do, please give me a like and a subscribe. It really does make a big difference. It boosts everything in the algorithm, and I would truly appreciate it. And if you're at all interested in a private reading, you can reach out to me, snappydts@gmail.com. And if you would like to donate to the channel, you can send me a donation. You'll find my PayPal in the description. All right. And today we're using the Tabula Mundi Tarot by M.M. Moline. And we're invoking Saturn and asking them to dissect our life, to cut it up and expose it upon the plate, to show us the interconnections so we can learn how to best move and flow, how to overcome the conflicts, how to evolve, and how to manifest our true will, and what that greater message is for our community. And as always, the center card is our most important card. So let's see what our center is going to be here. Okay. Work. We've been getting this energy so much lately. It's time to do the work, to put ourselves into earth and do what is necessary to build something that will evolve. When we see the work, right, it's that three, number one, it's that three energy of the muses, of that expansive divine feminine, right, of the priestess energy that reminds us that the work we do now has that potential to grow an expansive growth throughout the generation. The seeds you plant today will manifest tomorrow. So we are called to do that disciplined action, to build and to work, to manifest something tangible into our future. Let's see where this energy is going. Okay. Where is this energy going? Oh, wow. Sorry. Beautiful. The Hermit card. The Hermit card. So we're being called to do that hard internal work. Part of this is we need to do that work of actually sitting and reflecting on the self. This really goes well with that relaxation card that we received from Ganapati, right? That energy of actually relaxing, of taking that time to be in the body, to shine that light into the light of the soul, and to separate, to be in a place of comfort where we can just be in the silence, be in the darkness. You know, in some ways this can be scary, but in other ways this can be truly comforting and peaceful. And this is about finding that peace and being in that relaxation. You know, and it takes work. What I'm seeing here is that hermit energy, right? We're being reminded that this is something that we need to develop a regular disciplined practice of. You know, we're not being called to be the hermit for a long period of time. We're not being called to be the hermit for a short period of time. We're called to manifest the hermit into our life as a work practice, as a disciplined action, as something that we do regularly, right? We want to make that relaxation a part of our daily routine. You want to take 15 minutes to just be, right? To just be and see where it goes. Oh, wow. The Three of Swords, sorrow. The Three of Swords, sorrow. You know, the Three of Swords is painful energy. It's intense energy. It's that same expansive energy of the muses, but it's now in that intellect. And what we're seeing is that this is that energy of doubt, that energy of not believing that we can grow, that we can manifest, that we can achieve. Where that work is building into the earth, this is expanding in the other way, right? It's pulling us away from action. It's pulling us into our internal self and preventing us from growing. So what I'm seeing here is that there's a deep internal wound, right? There's something that's been bothering us. There's something that's causing this incredible sorrow to manifest. And we need to do the hard work of figuring out what that is, right? We need to confront the sorrow and we need to transform that sorrow into truths, right? We need to get to that balance of the truths, the Four of Swords. And what's important about the Four of Swords, the truths energy, is it's also that balance with the self and the outer world, right? On one hand, we are expanding upon that peace, right? We had that balance of the self with the Two of Swords, the peace, which is the connecting of the conscious and the unconscious mind to be in that flow. What we see here with the sorrow is we're trying to move beyond that flow. We're trying to bring in more energy, and we're now, by exposing ourselves to a little bit of the world, we're experiencing doubt and fear. We're realizing how difficult things are, how complicated things are, and we're balking in the face of that complication. We're left in this sorrow, in this inability to imagine how to go forward, how to build upon that piece of the two in a constructive way, right? And what we need in order to get to the Four is to expand that piece greater. The truth is an expanded piece. Not only do we have that piece in the self, where we are balanced with the conscious and the unconscious mind, but with the truth, now we have that balance with others, right? We are able to work in harmony with community. We're meant to engage with other people. So what's so interesting about this is we need to do this work where we sit in ourselves and reflect, but eventually we need to do the work of getting out of that hermit mode and engaging with other people, because the true way to manifest beyond the Three of Swords, to bring in the Four of Truths, is to engage with others and to bring that balance, right? It's to bring that harmony, to bring that additional perspective. Let's see where this is going. You know, often when we meet other people, it's hard, right? We're sometimes in conflict, but the power of the truth is that you're not in conflict. Let's see where this is going. All right. So connected to the bottom of our Three of Discs here, we have the Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups, the root of the power of water, right? The power of water, the cups. That's all about our emotional fulfillment, connecting to others in love and harmony, learning to be able to flow in peace and adaptation, to move in generation in a way that is balanced and with equilibrium, to engage in that earth and provide it with sustenance so that we can create true growth. And when we see the aces are all about going to the root of that image, going to the base of that image. How do we manifest this water? What does this flow look like? What does that harmony mean? How do we connect with people? This is calling us to imagine, to connect to this greater ideal, right? In order to build the tower, you have to create a blueprint. And when we see the ace imagines that blueprint. It imagines what the tower can be, even though it is only that ace, right? This is why we see that grandiose moon, because the moon is that unconscious. And that cup, we're giving birth to this new idea, to this new flow, to this new way of communicating, of connecting in harmony, and going back to that root. And this work, it's all about building that community, building that tower, imagining what it could be. So what I'm seeing here is that in the face of upset, it's about reformulation, going back to the root, and then building something truly from that idyllic base. Let's see where this is going. Okay. The Aeon. Oh, interesting. The ion. The ion is beautiful energy, right? It imagines a new completed self, right? We see that great alchemical work. I immediately think of the Pamela Coleman Smith art from the Thoth Tarot of Crowley. And we have the birth of the child to come, that divine Harpocrates, Dionysus reborn, Plutos, right? And here with this art, with this ion, right, you see that alchemical work coming to conclusion. So this is about manifesting a new self, coming through that cycle, firing and going through that suffering in order to be reborn into something truly beautiful and truly engaged, you know, and beginning a new way of thinking, a new age, a new adaptation. So what I'm seeing here is connected to this ace, to this community, is a new beginning, a new sense of self, and a new change, and re-engaging that work. So this is about truly going in to our foundational ideas and trying to reimagine them in a new way and then manifest them into the earth in tangibility, to make them something real and beautiful, right? To really transform the self again. You know, what I'm seeing is that our previous plans, they've worked in some ways, right? We have achieved that ion, but there was frustration and sorrow. We were not able to come to that truce. You know, we're going back and having to reimagine this tower. Let's see where this is going. Yeah. And how do we get there? Where are we imagining ourselves? What is the Aeon transforming us? And what energy do we need to embody? We need to embody that justice, the Queen of Swords, that incredible feminine energy that pursues that energy through her own will too, right? The Queen of Swords stands alone, perfected by her own ability, and she holds the universe to account. She balances things and follows that reason. And she's willing to work with others to share that justice, to shine that light, to help other people see that reason as well, right? But to that reason, she remains pure. And for that reason, she stands alone, right? Beautiful energy. And this is where we're called to refine ourselves in that ionic energy. And that's what will inspire and manifest this new tower, when we can pursue that justice, pursue that high intellect, pursue that education, right? The other thing with the Queen of Swords is she is that great educator, the one that can take that incredible energy of the air and manifest it into the waters, can manifest it into the flow, can bring that inspiring energy into the flow. And look, we're trying to build, right? We're trying to imagine what this tower will be. Who better than the water of air, right? Who better than the water of air? That energy of that flow, that feminine motherly flow, but with that high intellect of the air that'll allow us to imagine this to its greatest ideal. Let's continue. Okay. Oh, wow. And now we see her divine partner, the Knight of Swords, at the top of our square, connected to that work and connected to the Ace of Cups. Wow. Interesting energy. The Knight of Swords is difficult and beautiful, just as the Queen of Swords is difficult and beautiful, because they are such intense energies of that air, of that idealism. But I think what we're being called here right now is about pursuing that highest ideal and about balancing our masculine and our feminine self and doing the work to imagine a new way of flowing, a new way of communicating, a new way of connecting emotionally and building that community, right? The Knight of Swords, that fire of air, right? That is that inspired, passionate person that can also still bring that intellect, can still bring that wisdom, still has that ability. The issue with the Knight of Swords is that the Knight of Swords often seeks to challenge, right? The Knight of Swords relishes in the battles of wit and showing that reason and truth are triumphant, right? Not necessarily negative, but this is an energy that can give way to more and more conflict, right? That can be fired up by that conflict. But what we see here with this pursuit of the loving cup, right? The pursuit of that watery flow, we're putting this intellect to better use, right? We're using that to build in the earth and create something tangible, right? We're imagining a better way, right? We're balancing it with that queen as well, that educational energy that shares that wisdom, that doesn't just seek to challenge and prove they're right, but seeks to educate and uplift and bring that truth and justice. Where's this going? Oh, wow. Interesting. We got the Magus card. We had this yesterday, the Magus. And it's beautiful, wild energy, the Magus. It's that energy of balancing the self again, right? We see that with the Queen of Swords. We see that needed with the sorrow here, right? This is that energy of the one who is in complete flow with the conscious and unconscious self and can manifest the desire, that can walk through the eye of the needle, that can truly create something tangible and powerful out of their own imagination and desire, right? They're that willed actor, that moves in the universe, that tells the story, right? That manifests that reason into form. Interesting that we have that Knight of Swords connected to that Magus, because it's that Knight of Swords that's necessary to, in many ways, you need to have that pursuit of the intellect in order to embody that hermetic energy, right? In order to know the signs and to know what to say, right? And to be able to play the game. But the Magus is the one who executes, right? Who executes the plan, who actualizes, who goes through and does the work necessary, right? He draws down the moon and then uses that power to change the world around him. Where's this going? Oh, wow. That's beautiful. Love. Two of Cups, love. That's that coming together in loving flow and harmony. And look, we see love, and we have the Knight of Swords and the Queen of Swords, right? Pursuers of intellect and reason, pursuers of justice, pursuers of that high idealism, that high-mindedness, finding that highest point. What I'm seeing here is that we need to connect with our other half. We need to come into that loving flow, right? This is about balancing the air and the water and then manifesting that into work, right? And we do this through going through that self-reflection and being willing to transform, right? When we can be that mature knight, that actor, we can manifest the magus. When we can be that queen who can stand alone and pursue justice, we can manifest this community and overcome the sorrow, right? Wow. Let's take a look here, right? Yeah, that sorrow, we overcome the sorrow when we pursue love. When we pursue love. Because look, love will bring in that additional perspective, right? It will give us that other that can help us see things, that can bring in that clarity, and that can teach us to expand that peace to greater heights, to teach us how to move and flow, right? It's all about that love. We need to bring in that water. We need to manifest that queen to connect to her. And that's when the sorrow will end. That's when the sorrow will end. When we can be in that loving connection and can take another perspective and take it in that balance and take it as something that benefits us, that expands our knowledge and our own perspective. Beautiful. Right. Let's look here. Right. 3. That 3, that work, right? We need to become that mature knight, that one that has the fire to pursue their ideal, to pursue their dream, and to go out in the world and is willing to challenge others to maintain it. You know, that knight is in some ways, you know, I love and hate this knight because we all love those idyllic, passionate people that can climb the mountain and inspire others to do so. But often it's so flighty, it's air, it's so flighty, right? But we're being seen here. If that knight can do tangible work, can bring in the earth element, and then we can manifest something real, right? This is showing how we take that intellect, that fiery passion, that idealism, and turn it into something tangible. And it is through hard work and connection, communication. How do you share your message? Who do you share your message with? Who are you connecting with? What does this community look like as it grows? Where does it need to go? Right? And think about issues that have come in the past. Think about things that have plagued before and how do you prevent them from happening again? Right? Now look at this. This is such a powerhouse of intense power here and just wildness. Look, we have the Hermit, the Magus, and the Aeon. This is some serious, deep, reflective transformation that needs to happen, that is happening here. And what we see, it's all about this, doing that reflective work. And what that reflective work will do is it'll give you the strength to become the Magus, that balanced actor that can tell the story, that can commit the right, right? And what right are they committing? The rite of transformation, that ionic rite, where they're going through this deep self-reflexive transformation and being born anew, and beginning from a new perspective entirely, one that will allow them to pursue that Queen of Swords, right? That path of the Virgo, to stand alone and pursue wisdom to its highest heights and be able to share that knowledge with others in truth and in balance and in justice. Wow, magical. Right, now let's look at our crosses here. Right, in order to become that Magus, we need to connect to that balance, right? What is the Magus again? I've been saying this, right? They're the one that is connected to the mind, the conscious and the unconscious, the totality of that being, of the self. And they can act with that will because of this. But in order to get there, we need to be balanced. We need to seek justice. We need to be in harmony, and we need to do the hard work. You know, you cannot just be the Magus. The Magus is someone that has mastered, who has done the work, who's gone through the hermitage, who has faced themselves and sat in silence, right? Gazed into the abyss and was truly honest about what they were capable of, and truly honest about what needed to be let go in order to embrace that transformation and bring that justice, right? It's like a cyclical loop that we're seeing here between these three. Interesting. And look here at this cross, right? It's when we do that work of self-transformation, of self-betterment, of pursuing that highest ideal that we manifest love, right? And it is the love that is needed. It's that justice that is needed to transform us. Again, we see that reciprocal nature, that coming together of both of these things, right? It's all about balancing that love and that pursuit of justice, of doing that hard work of deep self-reflection and transformation. All right, everyone, that's the message. You know, it's about doing the hard work, about facing the self, of overcoming the sorrow through embracing another, pursuing that emotional loving connection, right? Of connecting to that divine feminine that can bring that justice and balance into our lives, right? Of pursuing new emotional connections, new community, new pursuits, right? Of using that Magus energy to transform ourselves, to go through that hermitage and to reimagine ourselves as something better, right? To be that inspiring knight, but to be that knight that does the hard work, that takes that fire and that air and manifests it into the earth. All right, everyone. That is the message. I hope it resonated with you. It certainly resonated with me. We're going to do one final sortes and then we'll call it an evening. And we're going to go to Women Who Run with Wolves, Myths and Stories of the Wild Woman Archetype, Clarissa Pinkola Estes. Muses, what is the message from Christina Pinkola Estes? The poor bargain she had made was to never say no in order to be consistently loved. Whoa. The poor bargain she had made was to never say no in order to be consistently loved. And you know, that Queen of Swords is the one who breaks that bargain. She cuts those ties and says, I don't need to be consistently loved. I can stand alone. I can love myself, and through that self-love, achieve the highest heights, right? And this is a thing we need to recognize. Sometimes that love can be a bind and can be a curse. It can be something that binds us to the earth, right? That same passion that drives us through creation, that most beautiful eros that is so lovely, can also be that which destroys us if we're not careful. All right, everyone. Wild. Peace and love. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope I see you again tomorrow for more live tarot in sortes. Until then, take care.